Hello, Professor.
Professor, it's not audible if you're speaking for online guys.
No, Professor, we cannot hear.
Hello. Prasanta, can you hear me now?
Yes, Professor.
Yes, sir.
I can hear
Okay,
you.
so you guys, have you finished your assignment or have you answered all the questions? Or do you need some more time?
We need some more time, sir.
Need some more time. Okay. Okay. Ah, ah. Yeah, okay. But Idu, you I want to see the no, I don't want to see this. I just want to see chat. But will it not overlap? So I don't want. So what do we do? How to avoid it? You cannot avoid it. Okay. Okay. So that way this okay. So how do I change this one now? Next page. I go this way, no? Yes. Okay. Okay, perfect. The most of today will be this screen only. So I think it's okay. Yeah, okay. Perfect. Perfect. Super. Very good. Okay, thank you. Okay, another couple of minutes and then pen down. Just to let you know, what you score in this will obviously get reflected, and I'll know what you've scored, would get reflected in the 10 marks that come to you in your assignment. So your assignment has 30 marks, 20 marks of which you will work as a group. The 10 is how good you present yourself, how smartly you're able to play along with the slide and impress the investor or the professor or the head of the company. And with that, I know how well have you understood my 9 hours of labor with you people. So that would be a combination of how you get your 10 marks. Is that good enough? Yeah. This is also the time for you to ask me if is any question that you thought in that list you didn't understand. I can obviously make a point of it and try to explain it to you guys. So that said, I'll give you another a minute or two, and then we move forward. So I have a better screen management today sitting here. So those of you online, I see 49 of you, that's possibly me included. Any questions, and how are you doing on the assignment or whatever you call it, the flash test or whatever you want to call it? You got it all? Doing okay? Almost got everything, huh? Which one? What are you struggling with? Tell me. Pricing, arrange the elements of the value-based pricing in the proper sequence. What should be the first one? First thing, what do you do? The cost of the goods, right? And then what happens? You doing okay? Done? Done? Not done. 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah, and the group which is proud of their position. How are you? What a book on your table, and you're saying you guys are enlightening the future, and this group is positively in the bottom half. Huh? Okay. Good. And you too? Can mean anything, Alva. You have a doubt on that. No, 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 no. Yeah, I don't think you need to click on it. Yeah, option 5 is doesn't exist. Maybe I did a bad job on the on cleaning it off. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, so 30 seconds starting now, and then we are done. And then pen down or mobile down or whatever that is, and then let's start. Okay. So, but what if you don't submit it later today? How do I know you've done it? You are sure? Okay. Because yours is because you have network issues, no? Thankfully. No, no, okay. So how many of you are thankful that there are network issues? Okay. Okay, good. I think I've achieved what I wanted, a little level of seriousness in the class. So done. Guys, try submitting it at the end of the day because I'm going back and around 5:30, I'll be looking at it. You don't do it before that, I'll stop it. Okay, fair enough. Okay, good. So
Thank you, sir.
cut it, pay attention to the class. Okay, everybody, right? How was the lunch? Sleepy? How many of you are sleepy? I'm raising my hand. Anybody else sleepy like me? No. Okay, good. So on our journey for the last 9 hours and 3 classes, what have we been doing? We've been doing primarily B2C conversation. What does B2C mean? Business to consumer. Okay. So, so now we will move into a slightly different subject, actually a subject which is of greater importance to us because most of us in this classroom, me given, do not work in a B2C environment. We work in mostly a B2B environment. We work for an organization, and that organization has a list of customers who in all likelihood is another organization. If you're working for Accenture, and what was Accenture called before? Did somebody tell you since this morning what was the earlier name of Accenture? Arthur Andersen.
Yes.
So now you know that even I listen to his classes. Okay. Right. So, so if you're working for Accenture, your customer is likely to be maybe Philips, maybe Sony, maybe General Electric. And so it's always a B2B communication or a conversation. Now, let's see how excellently this works. It unfortunately failed right away.
Arthur and Anderson.
No, that's pure internet lag. He said it 7 minutes back. Okay. But how do I get this thing moving? This is a problem with the screen. Can you do me? Do you know where Imtiaz sits? Can you just the second row? Can you just please ask him to come? Any one of you know where he sits? Can you just ask him to come? Because this refuses to move. Keyboard. All arrows. Down arrow. Up. Mouse pointing where? Me? Yeah. Sir, I think this wants you not going. ಇಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದೆ Mouse? Mouse? That's what she was saying, but sorry, thanks. It'll not happen again. Okay. So I want you to start. Okay, listen. We take a lot of effort to teach you. And then you could see that reflecting in all the classes that we do. So I have an humble request that pay attention. And you also put your own money in it, right? It's not so take a moment out. Think at this slide. Look at what's happening. And then give me, you want to stand up and tell me, you want to sit down and tell me, but I need half a dozen of you telling me, what is this all about? What is all this? Think for a minute. I'll try explaining in the next 1 minute, of course, what it is. It's very easy in some sense. Suzuki or Maruti Suzuki, whatever you want to call him, he finally sells it to a car owner. And that transaction is a B2C transaction. Okay, B2C transaction. So Maruti Suzuki sells it to car owner A, car owner B, and maybe car owner millionth, 10th millionth, and so on. And who are all of these? Tata Steel, Harita, Raiders. No, what are they? What are they? Raw material or whatever suppliers to Suzuki. Perfect. So there are hundreds of them. There were probably thousands of them who are all surviving or supplying to Suzuki. Now, that's brilliant. Now, what is the relationship between Kudremukh Iron and Ore and Tata Steel?
They are the
All-
miners of iron.
Pardon?
They are the miners.
Yeah. So what is the relationship again?
They give
Yes.
iron ores to Tata Steel,
Business to
Jindal.
business.
Correct. So, but why did I say that Kudremukh also supplies to Jindal Steel? So there could be one supplier with multiple customers, and multiple customers could have different further customers in different sectors. Obviously, right? Tata Steel in this example is only supplying it to Suzuki. I mean, as an example here, we keep the conversation going. And Jindal says, I don't want to enter into this highly competitive automotive market. I am an expert in the realty market. So I will supply to Prestige Builders. And of course, Prestige Builders also supplies it to a house owner. That house owner can also be the same guy who also bought the car from Suzuki. So in this example, what is B2B? Define B2B in your language based on your understanding from this. What is B2B? B2B is business to business. Correct. But what is business?
Professor, I can just tell this with respect to software industry. So in software industry, B2B in the sense, for example, now I'm an organization and I'm providing service to another organization. Like for example, now I am a company XYZ. I'm building a software for Swiggy. So it is
Okay.
business. But Swiggy deals with its customers. So I don't deal with Swiggy's customers, right? So I deal with only Swiggy. That is, I build a product, a software to Swiggy and you. That is B2B. And
Perfect.
I don't
Okay,
deal-
let me paraphrase what you said. So you said that I'm a software guy. I deliver software to Swiggy. What Swiggy does it is none of my business. So that is what you're saying. I mean, not in that crude language, but more or less that's what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah, that is B2B. That is, I don't
That
deal
is
with
B2B.
customers.
Okay, anybody else? You are saying something. Cyril, right? Yeah, see, I get your name. Yeah. Ah.
Yeah, somewhat similar. So,
Hmm.
like Tata, like the IN would be given it to Suzuki for them to produce their production.
What was that? You said something which was contrary. You said Kudremukh gives the ore or thing to Tata Steel, and what do they do?
And Tata gives that to Tata manufactures that into the product that they need to sell it to Suzuki.
And then what does Suzuki do with that steel?
They make the cars.
Hmm.
They bring out the product which needs to be delivered to the customer.
So you use the word product twice. You use the word product once. Tata Steel took it from Harita. Then you used another word product when you said Suzuki took it from Tata Steel. So now tell me, what is B2B business? And in a nicer way,
Yeah.
in
Professor,
a MBA way. Hmm. Yeah,
Here,
go ahead. Professor is right here. I can
Yeah.
come under the visibility area also.
here raw material from say Kudremukh, it has been supplied to Tata Steel and Jindal Steel, where they make the core product, say the finished steel, and that becomes a raw material to Suzuki for manufacturing their sub products.
Okay.
Which will go into assembly, and the final product is like a
Okay,
car.
still I'm perfect. Long sentence, but I'm still waiting for that one word. Yeah, go ahead. Just take his word and complete the sentence. B2B
Sir, they
is
further
value
generate
addition.
business.
He just gave you the link. Yeah. Perfect. See, she told it all on your own, right? That's how, okay. Good. So what is B2B? B2B is not she taking the product from him and giving it to her. That is called middleman. What does the middleman do? He takes that hard produced wheat, then just sells it. He does nothing with it. Just sells it. And in the middle, have some lots of fun and farmhouses on Delhi. That's it, right? But a B2B business is a business where you take a product from somebody, do something with it. Do something with it and then give it to him. What you're doing is a value add. Like the one you said, you take ore or iron ore and convert it into maybe sheets of steel. And sheets of steel go to Suzuki, who converts that sheet of steel into a wonderful looking car. And for that, they have hundreds of other suppliers. So now what is B2B business? You got the answer. Now try putting it in the best forward works. And now let me tell my prayers as I change it. Okay. Yes, it works. So now you've understood what is B2B. B2B is when you value add. What is that Purvika, right? Purvika doing to the mobile? Nothing. At the most, he'll just cut it, just show you whether it's working on, power it on and give it to you and all that. And so he's not doing any value addition, but everybody else along the chain are doing value addition. So that is the key. So now what is the difference between B2B and B2C? One I told you is value addition. What are the other differences? I put 5, I guess there are 7. So I want 3. Easy, right? Yeah. So what are the key differences between B2B and B2C? B2B. So B2B, because one of the things that I realized over the last week is that I actually saw my own YouTube priyas, and I'm and I realized that I need to be on the window. Point number one. Point number two, repeating what you said. So that, of course, I'll try to shorten the entire thing. So what you said is B2B, there are very few. There are selected business houses for B2B. For B2C, they're targeted. Anybody else wants to say anything else? Online, offline? Let her, because then when she halfway through the sentence, you complete it. Okay. B2B has nothing to do with customer feedback. कहाँ काम करते हैं आप? Okay, listen. No, okay, this is how the class has to be, right? This is how we have to say something. I have to argue with you. We have to fight it out and then come to a conclusion. So she said, and I'm going to write it down and remember her roll number and everything. Aadhaar card. So she said, oh my God, you're lucky today. It doesn't write. So she said, B2B person doesn't really care what happens to that end product. So Mr. Tata Steel cares a damn about whether the Suzuki, careful, listen to me. Tata Steel cares a damn about whether Suzuki's customers are complaining that the car is having major dent even when Vivek cycle comes and hits the car. Is that what you're saying? We don't care a damn. That is your problem. Not in that much, but something like that. Okay. So what is the other difference? What is the other difference? Other difference. Very simple. Come on, fast, quick.
B2B requires like a complete setup is required to make the conversion, whereas B2C.
Okay, hang on. What's your name?
Ventesh.
Yeah, I'm going to give you 10 seconds where somebody else has lifted the hand. I want you to come back, reframe your answer in a nicer way. You are heading in the right direction. Yeah.
Okay.
B2B is unprocessed or semi-processed. B2C is fully processed. Okay, fair enough. Okay, anything else? Example of B2B. Give me an example of B2B. No, give me an example of B2B.
Hi, Professor.
Huh?
Professor, can B2B, like I'm going to give an example. Can it be like one company taking work for another company?
One company taking work from another company is a B2B example. And you going ahead and buying yourself a nice piece of jewelry is a B2C example, right? Or we are very clear. One company, according to her, she's defined the rest of our 10 minutes of conversation. So she said B2B is one company taking work from another company, and B2C is she walking to, which is your favorite jeweler? Tanishq. Tanishq. Okay, she walking to Tanishq and buying the gold. Over. Now, what happens in B2C and what happens in B2B? Simple. Now tell me what happens.
Professor, I have
If
one,
I am the Tanishq salesman, how many people do I have to please? How many
Professor,
people do I have
answer.
to please to make the sale? I have to only please her. Right? That's it. She likes it. Oh, madam, it looks just lovely on you. And that's it. Matter done. Sale sold. Done. Whereas in a B2B, how many people do I have to please? The whole management. There's going to be, she's sitting there so tough looking at me. She looks like she's the finance head. And so there are lots and lots of people that we have to be. So what is B2B versus B2C? B2B is more complex, right? I can't tell you, I convince you, you look lovely, charming, and I can make can I walk into an office and say, madam, you're looking charming. Can you give me the business? You might land up in bigger trouble. So what is the other difference between B2B and B2C? Development cycle is Yeah, because you might just walk into a showroom and might make a deal and then buy away that jewelry or whatever. But there's a lot of assessment, evaluation of you. How good a vendor are you? What is your supply record? Are you reliable? Are you not reliable? Will you deliver in time? Have you had a quality analysis? Won't we do that? That's another difference between B2B and B2C. What is the other difference? One more before.
B2B requires a lot of cost.
Difference in price.
In terms of
B2C involves a
investment
lot
also.
of
Just hang on 1 minute. Online, hang on. Oh, what is it? I'm very confusing. Online, hang on. Offline, speak. Yeah. Okay, so they're charging you for the value addition. Okay, that's the value addition. I'll give you 10 seconds to rework on that. I guess that's the way classes work, right? I'm gonna give you 10 works to just see if you can retune it. Any other difference?
B2C requires advertisements.
What is that? Tax.
B2C
Oh,
requires
okay. Yeah,
advertisements.
go ahead, online.
Yeah.
What is that?
B2C requires advertisement as a promotion to
B2C requires advertising and promotion. What does B2B require?
it's more of
Relationship.
technical aspects and competition.
Okay, very good. B2B is an easier to sell. B2B is a little more technically depending. It doesn't really matter what you're selling. It's still more technically involved. Did you think? You're not getting it.
Professor,
Okay.
in case of B2C,
So my next slide will tell you. Yeah, go ahead.
so in case of B2C, it's after sales service will be there actually. Customer service has to be provided for.
Okay, so
the
in
specified shift.
B2B, very good, very good. So now we are getting more than 5. In B2B, B2C, you sell it and forget it. At the most, the guy will complain and do hartal in front of Purvika. 2 days he'll go. But here it doesn't work like that. You don't serve the customer, you will not get the next order. So it's one-time deal. There's no relationship with you. You act as though you're very close to your customer. I'll give you an example. I and my wife went to buy some carpets and wall curtains to in a showroom near my house. So at the time of the sale, he was so nice. He was so very loving. He spoke to us and all that. And oh my God, I'll tell you an even more nicer story. Okay, so the point is, I and my wife and all of us with a long, big set of people, we went to a place called Maheshwari. Maheshwari is in Indore. It's known for some nice cotton saris. So my wife and all of them went there, and we were the only 2 male, I and my other friend, 6 women and 2 male. We had no choice but to keep quiet. So he had one fan running. He had one fan running, and that fan was all pointed towards the 6 women who were buying. So what we did, I'm not exaggerating a bit. Okay, so listen. So we got a little tired, and we turned the fan around us. He switched on the air conditioner. Okay, he switched on the air conditioner, and then he said, "Chai piyenge aap? Chai piyenge?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." Everybody raised hands, and then I said, "I'm feeling thirsty." So he gave me half liter, a quarter liter of Bisleri water. All done, perfect. Oh, what a customer caring this guy was. All done, everything done, and the moment we paid the bill, my wife asked, "I want water." He looked and said, "Khatam ho gaya?" "Ha sir, pura Bisleri khatam ho gaya." That's it. You see, once the sale is done, he doesn't really care for you. He doesn't really care for you. But can you afford to do that in a B2B deal? From where am I pulling you out? Just to give you a B2B deal is a continuous process. This guy is come back again. It's like that restaurant in bus stands. The example I was telling you, he'll never come back. But this is like this. So anything else as an example, or it's time to move forward? Pardon? Yeah, possibly, we don't know. Depends on what margin are you working at and how are you looking at. Imagine the B2C margin of B2B margin of Apple versus the B2B margin of Apple suppliers. Who is making more money? B2C. Apple has got a brand. I've got a slide which is coming up. Apple has got a brand. So you're willing to pay more for it. You're willing to pay more for it. And I am willing to sell at a lower cost to Apple because I want Apple on my customer list. So I will work on a 2% margin so that I have Apple in my list of customers, and Apple will give you 40% because we are crazy. We want Apple products. So this is what it is. B2B is therefore at every part of the line of the supply chain, there is value addition. We understood that, right? There's value addition. Next. So this is probably what it is. This is the example I wanted to give you guys, saying that you have raw iron or something, and finally every part of the cycle, it goes through a process of this one. So now tell me what is happening here. This is a typical B2B cycle, right? Dell wants Intel to supply them. Dell wants Intel. I will have to take this call. Give me. So what is happening here is Dell wants its supply to come from Intel, who gives them the chips. These computers are sold to a company called Billsoft, who is then later on selling it to Megamore. And Megamore is using the software to finally bill you when you purchase a dozen of oranges or something like that. So this is again what it, at every type of the thing, they are using the software or the silicon chip or the computer to value add to what they are doing, right? Fair enough. Now let's see what happens in the next slide. The criticality factor, that is the where I wanted you to think about it, is, I will come to that later. Dell's dependency on Intel is how much? 100%. If Intel refuses to give Dell the Intel processor, Dell is out of business. That's it. 100% dependent on Dell or Intel for the business. Now, Mr. Billsoft depends on Dell for the computers because without the computers, he cannot work. But that alone doesn't constitute his business. He also needs software developers or programmers to work with him. So he depends on Dell. He also depends on RAM HR services, who will supply him the people. They are also important. What would I do with 1,000 Dell computers if I can't get an engineer to work on it? But the engineer criticality ratio, you can define it. Maybe you will say 70 and 30, whatever that is. That is the number. Second, what happens in the case of Megamore? For Megamore, the Billsoft services or the Billsoft billing package is only a small element of his entire work, right? Billing doesn't work, he might just write a bill and give it to you. Life will go on, business will go on. For him, 20% of his dependency is on Billsoft. Maybe 20% is on dependency on HR because people don't come, managing it. But what is he greatly depend on? Some conversation, the numbers can vary. Is what if his oranges don't come in time? What if the bread doesn't come in time? So the logistic is a greater thing. So what does this chart mean? What does this chart mean in terms of a B2B business? There could be multiple users for the same product, and each of them could have a different level of dependency. That's the point that we are trying to. That is why. So I hope you guys get this particular chart. Now comes this part of the conversation. This is one chart which I'm trying to get you guys organized for the last 15 minutes to talk about it. The demand is organization. Who is buying the product? It is Wipro Limited who is buying the product. It's Tata Limited who is buying the product. Whereas this is Ramesh who's buying the product, or some one of you who's buying that. The buyer is an individual. Whereas here the buyer is an organization. Then the volume is obviously larger. How much am I going to buy? I'm going to buy one computer or two computers at the most, whereas Accenture may order for 100,000 computers for all through 2020 or something like that. The number of customers are very few in the case of B2B. You know what your customer is, you know who your user is. Whereas the number of customers on a B2C is unlimited. Anybody could walk in to be your customer. The kind of work that I was doing, I think I said that before, I had just half a dozen customers spread over most of Asia and Africa. So I knew exactly where my customer was located. I knew where they were. That is why the customers are concentrated. I know exactly where to go. Whereas I don't know where it could be. We don't know who is the next buyer of the phone. It could be anybody. I just walk into a showroom and you must have the ability in you as a B2B salesman to know, is he a serious buyer or is he somebody who's just coming in to walk in. Like the other day, my wife was busy doing some shopping on St. Mark's Road and I walked into the Java showroom in that Safina Plaza. So I told him that hey, I once had a Java motorbike, but I'm just coming here. So he knew I'm not buying it, but he still wants to explain to me because he's hoping that I might eventually go tell somebody else. So you need to evaluate whether you are buying or not. Then the distribution is direct, the distribution is more indirect. How does that mobile phone or how that packet of biscuits come to that shopkeeper? Does it come directly from, we'll give it a twist, from Patanjali's factory in Jharkhand or wherever is it? Uttaranchal, where is it? Some part of the world, right? Patanjali biscuits. Does it come, does Baba Ramdev come and personally deliver it to the guy on the thing, doing a few yoga stunts? No, right? He's not going to do it. He's going to have, by that, he's going to pass through 10 chain or people on the chain to come back finally. So it's an indirect. And the distribution more direct in the case of, let's say, sophisticated hardware, there are going to be very, very, very few people getting it. The nature of buy is professional. I'll tell you why it's professional and why it's personal. The nature of buy is more personal. I don't want to go to a particular shop to buy it. I don't like the place. I don't like the color of the furniture there. That's more than enough a reason for me. And if I'm the head of a department in the in a big organization, say, Ramesh, why are you not buying from the, oh, I don't like his face. Then I say, keep quiet. That's not the way business happens. So buyer influence is multiple. This is one chart that you need to pay attention to because that lays the foundation for the rest of the charts. Buyer influence is multiple. What does buyer influence multiple mean? Is that somebody wants to order let's say somebody wants to buy some software from your company. So what are they going to do? They're going to check back on some people and say, what is can you give me a reference? Can you give me a reference? I'm just wondering if you have a CV for a new job, they ask for references. And in most companies, they don't like you to give your professor's reference. It's because he always give you nice. He wants to get rid of it. So he'll always give you nice. But in most other organizations, they want you to refer to somebody from the industry. Do you know anybody in the industry who can stand by you and say it is going to happen? So I always get a call in the middle of the night at 11 o'clock saying, sir, I've given your name. You please expect a call tomorrow morning. That's it. Which company? What is it? Nothing they'll tell me. And then, of course, most of the time I'm nicer. So it's going to be The thing is, it's a very, very professional way of handling things. Whereas, hey, shall I buy this phone or not? I ask one individual, shall I buy this car? I see somebody using the car and I buy it. The nature of buy is very, very personal. There's not too much of it. I mean, the influence is just one individual. Negotiation. Negotiation is very simple in the case of a B2C, right? I want it for 10,000. I'll sell it to you at 12,000. Now we have a problem. We'll say, okay, 11,000. Okay, good, both are happy. But it doesn't work like that in a B2B model. Why are you selling to me at 10,000? How can we reduce it? Is it just 10,000? What happens if I buy 100 numbers of them? What is the warranty will you give them? How are you going to be? We'll learn about all of them. And negotiation is very complex. Reciprocity. Can anybody give me an example of what does reciprocity mean? What is reciprocity?
It is copying.
I give you something and
Repeated orders.
pardon?
Repeat orders.
Repeat order, maybe, but close. Yeah, she's saying I give you something and you give me back something in return. That is reciprocity. So can Apple say, I give you a computer, what will you give it back to me, to a customer? No, reciprocity doesn't exist in the case of a B2B, but you're perfectly right. In a B2B environment, Mahindra is supplying, maybe Seat is supplying tires to Mahindra, and Mahindra may say that I'll supply you Mahindra cars for your company. It can be a two-way interaction. I buy from you, you buy from me. The government of India says to any guy who is selling some huge valued equipment to India, it says, okay, I'll place an order for $1 billion on your thing. But in return, you have to buy something from me. If I place an order for 1 billion, for 10 million, you buy from me. This is reciprocity. You want to buy mangoes, you buy mangoes. Seriously. The deal, most of the deal, it is called, I think I'll come to that on a later day. I forgot the word. Counter trade or offset. The word is offset. That means that if India places an order on a company, they say you have to offset it. I place an order for Rafale engines. You place an order for 10,000 software engineers working on it or something like that. So that's what it is. Leasing. What is leasing? Leasing is we give you better payment terms. You give you better, they might give you an option to pay over 5 years, 10 years. No such option exists here in a large extent. It's a very, very small extent. And promotion is advertising. You can put up a big ad and then get along with it. Whereas this is personal selling. Let's look at it more and more of it. More or less the same thing here. And the same thing for you to read. This is again a comparison of what happens in a B2B versus B2B. What are you doing? You are looking at reviews. Before you buy a product, you're going to look at Google search and say, what is the review of this product? Does that product look good? Second is show me a demo. That's the thing you want. Show me a demo. Whereas a demo is not important for them. For them, what is important is what is the return on the investment that I have done. I buy this huge machinery and then do what with it? Will it improve my performance? Will it improve my sales? Will it improve my efficiency? Will it improve my or lower the consumption of raw material? And you look at case studies. What do you look at case studies for? What happened when this company bought this product? Did it work well? So that is why, how many of you looked at assignment 2? My God, assignment 1 hi humne dekha. Right? Okay. So assignment 2 is not completely fictitious, but it's a situation of what happens in an organization. In an organization, people like you are all sitting and saying, oh, we want to buy this next product. So we'll talk about it, how it happens, whether we should buy this product or not, how do we influence this purchase? And you have all of these which are part of your webinars versus videos. You know all of them, right? Any questions so far? Or are you guys doing fine? Okay. Now, B2B has another angle to it. What is the other angle? You should know your customer and you should know your market. You know your customer. Who is your customer? Who is going to buy my product? There could be hundreds of them in this whole thing. Just like in the case of Tata Steel, they know who their customer. Their customer could be those building roads, those building houses, those building cars. You need to decide which one of them is my customer. Which is the market which is doing good? Which is the market which is not doing good? Should the realty market will slump? All of a sudden, real estate is not growing because people are not working from home. So why do we need new offices? So that is what it is. So you have to look at which market to enter. You may have the same product. The same product has got different markets to enter. We will look at it. And we will look at how these 4 P's work out as a 4P. Now, first thing we have to learn is B2B markets have a complex decision-making unit. What does that mean? How many of you have treadmills at home? How many of you have treadmills at home? So when you have a treadmill, because a treadmill is the closest example to a B2B. So now what happens in it when you want to buy a treadmill home? First thing, 5 members of the family. So you are going to say that I should be able to watch serials while I'm on the treadmill. That's one requirement. Somebody will say that maybe the husband will say, it really must have 26 levels of speed. Not that he's going to do it, but he has to have something which is going to be that level. So the parents might say, okay, treadmill is allowed as long as it doesn't make noise and it doesn't affect my sleep. The children may have another set of people. So a decision-making process is very, very complex when it comes to a treadmill. Similarly, a decision-making complex in a B2B is a very, very complex decision. Why do I say so? Because of 2 particular indexes. One is low value, or one is the value of the product, and second is the risk level of the product. What does that mean? How much time do you think your company will spend on choosing which coffee maker should we buy for the office? How much time? Less time. Who makes the decision? The MD? The board of directors? No, admin. But why is that the admin makes the decision and not the board of directors? Low value. Why am I getting too many calls today? Low value and hello. Hello. Oh my God. It's a star life. I almost bought it. Okay. So value. Is it of very high value? No, it's okay. It's a low value thing. We might have to spend 10,000 rupees or 50,000. The second element is low risk. What happens when the bad coffee is there? Nothing much. We might just even change it overnight and have a new vendor. So that is what happens. Like, for example, the example here is paper clips. It could be coffee or anything. But there is also low value and high risk. Low value and high risk is probably like buying a wrong generator, or buying a wrong UPS system in your office, or buying the wrong anti software or something like that. The impact, the value is very small, but the impact of a bad choice could be disastrous. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. And of course, low risk, high value is basic raw materials. So where do you think people get involved? High risk, high value is where the board of directors might get involved. Whereas low risk, low value, the office person will take a decision. Right? Any questions on that? a fewer heads to decide, more heads to decide. That is the one fundamental one. Buyers are more rational. What does that mean? There's two sides of the brain, right? Which side is operating today, right now for you? None. No? Okay. Okay, I mean, I need to keep you guys alive, right? Yeah. So there is the rational side of the brain and there's the emotional side of the brain. Emotion is what drives all our purchases, right? I told you the example of the abandoned cart. I said, you go to Amazon, buy those shops, buy those things, stack them up and just abandon the cart and then celebrate. Because, you know, emotionally you end up buying some spur purchases and things like that. But you can't do that. Oh, I'm in a good mood. The MD, Wipro chairman comes and says, I'm a good mood, let's buy. Doesn't work like that, right? You have to be more rational. You have to look at the company's needs. It's not what you benefit. Me buying the product, what does it mean to the company? Will I be justified? Will I move up the personal ladder by making this purchase? That is why a lot of places we go tell the guy who's buying the product, listen, if you buy this product, in 3 years, your company's profitability will go up by 5%. He's not convinced. And you will become the next VP. Now he's convinced. So what happens is you have to look at what the individual needs are and how it translates, or what the company needs are and how it translates to an individual. So you can't just buy a product. You have to look at how it is. There is no emotion here. I don't like this person, hence I will not buy. It's not going to work. Very, very complex buying. Very, very, very. I want you to understand this very well. I want you to understand. Because the entire process of buying, in most organizations, you don't even know who is making the decision. Am I in the visibility range or not? Okay. Most of them, you don't even know who is buying it. You don't even know who is going to make a decision on it. You don't even know what to tell the other guy. And if you look at it, all my 30 years or 40 years of my working life, even now, I don't really understand how the decision happens. I go to a guy and he tells me, yeah, I'm making the decision here. I'm the one who's making it. Okay, Ramesh, give me the best price. And I give him the best price. And then when can I sign the order? He says, you know what? Meet my boss. But I thought, I'm the boss, but my boss is there. So I go to the boss and now I have to please the boss, right? So when I please the boss says, no, mera boss aur ek hai. So I really don't know where the buck stops, right? That is how we have seen a lot of bosses have a placard on their table which says the buck stops here, meaning that I make the decision here. So now I learned, became very, very smart. I said, it's not going to work like this. I'm not going to go to this fellow. Then he takes me there. Then he takes me to the thing. Then he takes me to the big boss. So I said, I'm going to the big boss first. So that's it. Brilliant idea. Nobody can stop me. So I go to the big boss and say, listen, I'm selling you this product. He's saying, fantastic, Ramesh. This is exactly what we wanted. But listen, I have a technical guy below me. Let him make the decision. So he says, I'm the technical guy, but the user is somebody else. You go to him. Now, every time I go further down, I am developing a new technical complexity to my service. A lot of things which I was not thinking of adding to my product, and now I have to add because the guy at the lower level, who is the user, brings in complexity. So its decision making is so complex that on a price you keep going up, you start losing. And on technical, I mean, both ways, you keep going down and you don't even know who it is. The user is in Bangalore, the decision maker is in the US. And the signing authority could be in Japan. It could be, it happens all the time. SoftBank is invested. The decision maker is somebody else in the US. The company is in India. The signing authority could be Japan, right? So it is very, very complex decision. But the most important thing is B2B eventually becomes a B2C. If you saw along all the chain of it, it's Maruti finally selling it to a car owner. It's the house builder selling it to a house buyer, or whatever that is. It eventually becomes a completely a B2C. Finally, B2B will become B2C. That's how it is. If there is good monsoon, more car sales will happen. So you have to depend upon the fact that you have a final B2C model. Or very, very complex. Just like I said, it's not buying a Porsche car. Just because one guy likes it, you will buy it. No, it's buying a generator. It's very, very complex. There is many, many complexity that are involved. What is the time? 2:30? Yeah, 3 o'clock. Then various needs and different application points. I want you guys to pay attention to this. Various needs and different price points. Let's look at this particular slide. Let's look at this particular slide. Look at RAM HR services. Look at RAM HR services. From where is he more likely to get a better price? From Megamore or from Billsoft? Why? Why? Yeah, so because of the criticality factor. So now, what should RAM services do? Which market should they concentrate on? Which market they should concentrate on? The answer is? And all of a sudden, all of you became quiet after saying Billsoft. Billsoft, should RAM HR services only concentrate on Billsoft, or should they concentrate on Megamore? Which is a more attractive market for them? Billsoft. Where are they more likely to get a better price? Billsoft. But what is going to happen in reality is, where is more competition? It could be in all places. So you have to make a decision as to where do you want to be. I hope you guys are following me. Is that the same product could have multiple user needs. The same product could have multiple user needs, and depending on why they want the product. Depending on why the product. For example, the most common example is there's a chemical factory. In a chemical factory, they need pipes. For what purposes? To take the chemical liquid from place A to place B. There is Wipro headquarters. They have a wonderful lawn. They have a wonderful, beautiful garden. They also need pipes. For what? For taking water to water the plants. Now, both of them, you are the supplier. But it depends on who values your product more. Who is going to value your product more? The guy in the chemical factory, because you're a critical element of it. So you must look at what are they looking at? Are they looking at as how much are you critical in that whole chain? Then what is this? Pricing in business. Yeah. So what happens is, the same 1 meter of pipe, the Wipro guy or the gardening guy will say, give me 100 rupees. Whereas the guy in chemical factory give you even at 200 rupees, because of the fact that pricing has different levels. So that is the reason why you must select your market. The reason why I brought this slide here. Every B2B has multiple markets. Why is Infosys in a particular market and why not somebody else? An IT company says, I am focusing only on the banking sector. Whereas there could be another IT company which is saying, I'm only focusing on logistics. Why? Is because they want to provide niche services to that market. So that is very, very important. You must know, okay, there was one slide or one point which was missing. You must know how much is the market capable of absorbing your services. And second is how much competent are you to deliver that services into a market like Wipro or anybody else. The example to it, you could be a small HR company. You could be a small, or you're a small, what do you call, body shopping company. Well, who would be interested in your market? Maybe the second level or the third level IT companies could be interested. But if you're a big guy, the top level could be interested. It depends on which way you want to go. This is the second point. Where is profit for you in the business? I want you all to open up, shake your head a bit and listen to me. Okay. Now look at this. If you are in the business of providing internet, if you're in the business of providing internet, there are 4 kinds of customers. What are these 4 kinds of customers? They could be, what is this? Fiber to home, the ACT, or the, what is the other one? Yeah, Hathway and all of them, they are there. So there is fiber to home, there is fiber to office, and maybe you have another customer like Reliance or a big IT company which is wanting some services. And then there is oil and gas market. Any one of you working in oil and gas market? Any one of you in oil and gas? Earlier you were, what were you doing in oil and gas? Tanks, you were delivering tanks to them. So in oil and gas, most of the installations are very far away, very far away. They could be in the middle of a sea. If you are in Bombay High, ONGC is in the middle of the sea, or in the middle of a desert, they are oil rigs which are doing it. And they also want internet. Now look at this. There are lots and lots of things. The fiber to home guy, what is he looking at for internet? What are the parameters that he's looking at? He is going to be extremely price sensitive. He's going to be very, very price sensitive. Okay, $399. Oh, you have $399. This guy is $359. Which one are we buying? $359, because we are tolerant to everything else. What does it mean? Is that if the internet is down, theek hai, kya kar sakta hai? So we are going to be price sensitive, but we're going to have very few special demands. Right? It's okay. No problem. Internet on weekends. Anyway, I'm not there. Or thankfully, there's no internet. That's the best excuse, right? Oh, we're locked in, no internet and all that stuff. So what happens is that you could be serving a market where the cost to serve them is very low and the net margin realized is also very low. How much do you make in a competing world at $359 versus $399? The guy is also not making much money. How much is the cable operator making money from delivering the services? Very little. But he'll have less complaints from you. He'll come and say, hey, internet gaya to gaya, main kya kar sakta hu? There's nothing like that. But fiber to office is complex. What are they going to say? He says, sir, I'll give you a $359. I say, don't give me those plans, man. Give me a good plan, right? What are they going to say? Is that the product is crucial. You will make him say, give me an SLA. You know what is an SLA, right? What is an SLA? Yeah, so you're going to tell me, don't give me that, sir, weekends it'll be down or it'll be, no, nothing. You have to give me 99.9% availability. So then he's going to come and say, sir, if you want 99% availability, then, well, the price is going to be high. But he's sitting in the same location as in Bangalore. So the cost to serve such an FTT guy is going to be low, but the net margin realized is going to be high, but it's also going to be more competitive for you. You really have to fight to get that margin. So the margin realized is high, but the cost to serve is going to be relatively low. Now look at this, oil and gas. Oil and gas, what is going to happen is that they are willing to pay the best amount of money. They are willing to pay the best amount of money to get internet. Because imagine getting internet in the middle of an ocean or the middle of a desert and the internet goes down. You should be able to fly your guy. You should be able to send somebody else. And I used to work with a company who were among the very first early 2000 or something like that. Now it's become very complex. What they did was, there is diesel which is there in all the railway engines. Now what happens is these guys, some of the not so very good engine drivers, they would even steal the diesel and then give it away to the nearby villages and all that. So what they would do is that there was no way of tracking them. So this company was recruited by Indian Railways to set up a device which will track the diesel in the engine or in the tank or whatever it is. So for a few months it was all working well, but one fine day not working. What? This engine is not working, that transmitter is not working. In another place, that transmitter is not working. What would happen is they would just cut off the power supply to that box, and this box would be gone. And you can imagine where these engines are. They are in some god-forsaken places in India, and this poor service engineer has to travel virtually on the other end of the world to get and service a product. But they are willing to pay heavy for it. So the cost to serve is very high, and the money that you get is also very, very, very high. So here, there are very few players in this market. There are very few players in the ONG or in a market where it is very complicated to serve. But if you serve them well, you make lots and lots of money. Here, the market is also crowded, but there is not much of a cost involved in delivering the services. But look at this. Dealing with somebody like Reliance or dealing with somebody like a big company is very, very complex. When we go and talk to them, they are going to leverage on their buying power. So what are they going to say? I am Reliance. I am Jio. I am next to God. If you want to supply to me, you have to supply to me at they have an extreme buying power. They want lots and lots of customized features. If you're going to supply to me telephones, mobiles, my mobile should have a Reliance stamping on it. The mobile should be in very, very different things. So you could end up with a cost to serve them very high, but that's a market that you want to be. You want to say that Reliance is my customer. If Reliance is your customer, Vodafone may consider buying your product. If Reliance is your customer, somebody else in some other part of the world may buy it. So this is what it is. It is the same product, but you have different types of profitability which are associated. Next is, what are the time now? Yeah, there's plenty of time. Next is, what is the equivalent of distribution in B2C to B2B? Complicated question. Anybody there? Did you guys answer the question on which were the 3 P's and C's which got added? What were the answers to that? Forgotten.
Process.
Promotion.
People, process, and
Yeah.
physical
I think some of them are answered wrong. It looks like. Yeah. So I said the ones that you add the ones, and you are online and somebody else is saying correctly. So what are the three ones? The 4 P's are what? The real 4 P's are place,
Product, promotion,
price and promotion.
price.
Then what got added to that? Process. Example of process. Example of process. How easy it for me to check out from a counter. I go and buy at Namdari's and I see everything placed next to my house. Product, wonderful organic products. What is the other one? Promotion. They give me nice ads. Pricing is very cheap. I mean, never in Namdari's, but let's assume so. And then the huge big queue to bill. Process, bad process. I just dump them and come. So that is process. The other one was people. Yeah, I like the place, but I don't like the people there. So sometimes it happens. The people don't help me make the decision. Then the last one was, yeah, I actually like to buy at Myntra, but I'm scared that the color shown there is not really the color which comes when I buy the product. It's happened to me many times. And so I would rather go and buy it from a place where I can touch and feel the thing. So similarly, what happens here is it is the place. What is the place? Distribution is how do you distribute the products? So how does distribution happen in a B2B market? You want to sell IT or banking software. Will you put up a stall in the shopping complex in Brigade Road? Why not? The guys who come to shop jeans are the ones who might also make the decisions. But so why don't you put it up? So the distribution is going to be different. How are you going to different? You're going to have direct sales people who are going to come there. They're going to walk into a DBS bank, or they're going to walk into the company and say, hey guys, our software is better. You want to try it, got a feel of it. And how do you promote the product? The next thing is about promoting the product. How do you communicate to them? How do you put up an ad? What did you answer on the question of which one of them is a wrong positioning of the ad of Rafale in okay, like, what
Times now.
What are the 4 choices we had?
Triumph bike in the women's magazine, and Rafael.
Okay. Yeah. One was a lipstick ad in something like that in a woman magazine. Second was a Rafale ad in Times of India. Third was polio in villages or small housing thing, and motorcycle in the. So, and all of you wrote. How many of you wrote Rafale in Times of India? And how many of you wrote Triumph on?
It should be Rafale in Times of India.
It is. How many of you say Rafale in Times of India? Why are they wrong?
Actually, I also mentioned. Because Rafale, they are the cost of Rafale is in millions, which need not be part of a Times magazine.
Okay, so he's saying that Rafale is a B2B purchase, right? And why would you want to put it up in a Times of India for a purchase like that? And these guys said Triumph is primarily a man feel good factor kind of a thing. The lipstick ad should be there and not the motorbike ad. So you are saying this. My version was that it was a trick question. The answer to that is, in a way, technically the Triumph. The reason is Rafale became very controversial. Rafale became it was not like any other defense purchase. The defense is always buying. They bought that S-400 system from Russia. They are buying lots of things all the time, right? It's not the only purchase. But Rafale became a controversial thing, right? It almost brought down the government. So Rafale had to put up ads to get the public to rally behind them, saying that we are selling you a defense system which is going to save your country. So my explanation was that in a way was a trick question, is that Rafale in that particular instance insisted that they had to demonstrate to the world that don't go by what others are saying. What we are selling you is the best system as an individual, as a citizen, or somebody who is worried about the soldier in the border. It's for you that I'm telling you. And how do you convey a message to 1.4 billion people rather than put it in the center or the first page of that was the kind of thing. But I guess both of you have your own justification to it, and we'll get along with it. Okay. So anybody else wants to discuss that further? Is that fair, Cyril? Does that make sense? Correct. So why were you not confused at some time whether it was a good purchase or a bad purchase? Right, fair enough, fair enough. So don't worry, that was a trick question, and it was also meant to bring up a conversation. Fair enough, that's exactly. Okay, fair enough. Time out. This is how a conversation is all about. I mean, so this was a topic of what? Of segmentation, targeting, or positioning? Targeting. And what was on positioning? What is the question on positioning? We've forgotten that. And G in the Gartner. Okay, yeah. Are you in the right class? Yeah, which class? Just for you, I don't mind restarting, but they'll feel bad. Okay. This is another chart that you must pay attention to. This is another chart. This is called the Pareto's principle. How many of you know what is the Pareto's principle? I heard somebody say that.
We have
80-20 rule.
80.
What is that 80-20 rule?
80% of defects are from 20% of problems.
Yeah, okay. At the end of the professor's 3 hours of conversation, 20% of it is sense, 80% you can delete it. In a way, in reality, 20% of your customers give you 80% of your revenue. 20% of your emails are meaningful and 80% of them are not meaningful. I mean, this you can't argue with me. No, sir, this is not 20%. It's actually 17.234. Now, generally, Pareto's principle says that most of the time we are not efficiently using our time, and most of the time we have a dispersed customer. And if we knew who are our key customers, we would be working more efficiently. Just like the example I told you about Airtel Thanks. I don't know how many of you remember that when Airtel was losing its customers to Jio, it said, I don't want that 80% of the customers who are paying below. What is that word starting with A and ending with U? ARPU.
Yeah, ARPU.
Can you say it louder? Okay, perfect. So, right. So that is what it is. So 80%. So I'll rather retain that 20% who's giving me 80% of the profitability and do that. Similarly, in a B2B business, if the value of the product is high, the number of customers reduces. If you're doing a $1 million deal, there are not more than 10 customers. If you're selling a product which is 20,000 rupees, then they could have a huge number of customers. So there are limited number of buyers as the cost of the product increases. It could still be a B2B market. You could still be selling 1 million water bottles, but you at the most will sell half a dozen aircrafts. So that is what it's saying. So when a bottle will cost you 10 rupees, an aircraft will cost you 10 million. And how many of them you sell? A dozen of them. So that is what is B2B. And finally, the point that you were saying is personal relationship is most important in a B2B market. Remember this, I've already said that importance of relationship can be never overemphasized. Personal relationship is very well. If you are selling a $1.2 million product, how many customers are there? According to this list, maybe 4, maybe 5 customers are there. There are 6 suppliers. So who would they choose from? What are the parameters? Good track record. All of them have done well. Pricing is the least important parameter when you're buying a product which is 1.2. Chalo sir, 50 rupiya kam kar deta. You don't tell him for a $1.2 million deal, right? Or he'll say, my wife likes to do that. Final, at the end of all the purchase, thoda green chilies dal do. So it doesn't work like that. Okay, sir, we'll give you some extra. It doesn't work like that, right? So what matters is relationship. Relationship is the only thing that matters in a B2B business. If I was saying that I had 6 customers or half a dozen customers in all of Asia, they have to know me. I have to know them. If we don't know each other, I must be able to, we will be just out of business. And the example I'll tell you is IBM story. IBM, how many of you work for IBM? Anybody working for IBM? IBM is 100+. You earlier used to work for IBM. Excellent. So IBM is 100+-year-old company. And what happened was at one time, they realized, the government realized that IBM has got an 80% market share. I might be playing around with the numbers, but IBM has got a huge market share of the whole business. And one thing America doesn't like is monopoly of markets. They never like, and that's more democratizing the business. They say that there was a time when AT&T was the only operator in the US, or was a dominant operator in the US. You only had, just like BSNL, they were the only operator. So then what happens? You have no choice. Whatever AT&T, you would ask for it. Whereas there were multiple operators for international connect. Yeah, I don't, how many of you, can you even, I don't think any of you are here today who knew about the earlier way of booking a trunk call. How many of you know what is a trunk call?
You have to connect to the.
I call up the operator. I
they will
call up
connect
the
to the other
operator
number.
and say, can you connect me to Bombay? This number in Bombay. So, and then I keep the phone down. And that operator will connect me to Bombay and call me back. And then that's a very complicated world. So same thing would happen. The guys in the US would want to call the guys in Europe. So they would pick up the phone and said, connect me to such a number in France. So the guy would connect and join it. But there were multiple operators who would take the call from US and terminate it into France or UK and all that. So what they would do is that when you pick up the call, the operator would say, okay, sir, which operator do you want? The guy say, anyone. Or the guy say, I don't care. So for the first couple of months, it was going on fine. But later on, they found out that when he said anyone, there was a company called Anyone. And that company called Anyone has the highest billing rate for 1 minute. Well, I don't care company limited. So, sir, which company do you want me to? I don't care. Okay, so put me to I don't care. And then the billing goes on. So you see, there could be atrocities that can happen in a country like US. Okay, at the same time, it's US which also ensures that you don't have a dominant state. So similarly, when AT&T was really big and having a dominated thing, the government, along with the courts, broke down AT&T to smaller bits, and they were called baby bells, Bell Laboratories, baby bells. So each of them became separate, so that there is competition and there is no monopoly. So similarly, why am I saying that? So when IBM became very strong and they were having an 80% market share, they said something wrong. How can you have an 80% market share? You must be doing something wrong. You must have a monopolistic market and you are not allowing the competitor to enter. The big problem why Microsoft ensured that, what is the Internet Explorer before that? Mozilla, Firefox, and all of them, because Microsoft said, if you buy MS-DOS or whatever that MS Office, you have to buy my Explorer. So then it became a default. So there was no room for it, right? If you ever tried having a Google keyboard in an iPhone, it will ensure that it doesn't work. That's how they want it to be. So back to it. So they said we'll have to break down IBM because they are having a very monopolistic control. But then when they started finding out, they realized that IBM is not being monopolistic. IBM is customer friendly. The guys at IBM knew exactly what the user wanted. The guys at IBM knew what was the problem of that the customer was facing. They knew that customer, to such an extent that they knew the customer's personal background. He knew his family. He knew what problems that he was going through. So the relationship is a very key in a B2B business. That is why you have golf. Why do people go and play golf? Because that's the best way to have deals settling down. And finally, the word called insight marketing. What is, we'll explain insight marketing and then we do. Because she said that Tata Steel sells the steel to Suzuki and say, and the hell with you. Okay, the only way a B2B company can be successful is only when they go beyond the customer. Meaning that, okay, I think that slide is not there, we'll bring it up. Meaning, it's somewhere out there, is that you must do insight marketing. That's the latest word. You wouldn't find it in the books, but you will find it in the question paper. Okay, so insight marketing is actually understanding what is the problem of your customer. There are two things. What does the customer want? The customer wants steel sheets to make cars. That's not the end. That's not the end. The thicker the steel, it could drag the vehicle. The thicker the steel, it could make the mileage fall down. The thicker the steel, the heavier it could be. The thinner it is, you could lose lives. So the point is, you should be able to understand what is my product eventually getting into. That is why when you have, the best example is Pratt and Whitney. What is Pratt and Whitney? Aircraft engines. Aircraft engines. And who is a competitor to that? GE and Rolls-Royce and GE Aviation. So what do? They don't just sell their engines to Boeing and Airbus. That's their job. They go along with Boeing and Airbus guys and present it to Indigo or American Airlines, who is the buyer of the Boeing aircraft. So that is why I said, from the supply chain to the delivery chain, you must know what is happening to your vehicle. Answer to your question would be that Tata Steel, by just selling it to Suzuki, they'll do a bad thing. They must know what is happening, what is the feedback and all that. So that is what is relationship all about. I'll give you guys a 10-minute break or a 15-minute break. How long you want it? You ask for 15, you get 10. Okay, see you guys at 3:25. That's enough. 3:25, we have a lot to cover. Unfortunately not. But why would you want to extend the submission date?
Just to match our timelines. So
What is the submission date? Brilliant number, 2 + 1, 3. I love that number. Huh? 7. How many of you believe 2 + 5 is a better number than 2 + 1? Bad set of students. I'll tell you why. Sir, 3 is a brilliant number. 3 + 0 is an even brilliant number. You could have told me, but you didn't tell me that. Yeah, 0, 5 will be in the next year. Okay, so there you go. The guys who have submitted it already obviously will get a little bit of advantage because they have hit the deadline and 2 of them have submitted it, I think, according to me. And then for the rest of you, I'll go back home and open it up to 25th. Okay, please give your feedback. Google, go and give me 5 rating. Okay, okay, good. Enough of that. So what I was saying is, imagine a customer. Imagine who are you presenting it to. Don't think that person you're presenting, the investor, the board of directors, the head of an angel company, to be an illiterate. I was telling these Chayos guys is that you must quickly come to the subject. Don't say Chayos is a combination of the word chai and Yahoo and something, and hence it became Chayos. And Yahoo was started in such a year, and Chayos has one branch in Mumbai, and Mumbai, you know, is the capital of Maharashtra. Unnecessary. Just come to the point. Chayos is in an FMCG market, and our real competitor is whoever you want to name it, and we are here to beat them left, right, and center. If I get your attention, we are willing to take it forward. I'm getting too many calls today from Chayos. Okay. Anyway, so done. Any questions? So 25th midnight, it's closed. Okay, I don't know, I'll get into trouble, but it's okay. I'll get into serious trouble, but I'm used to it. Okay. So where did we say? I told you, let's go, continue. I have to finish this. No, here. So I said, we know all of them. They're bigger buyers, concentrated buyers, and all of that. Then what I said, what I'm coming to, we did this. Pricing, each of them will have the same price point. Market selection, profitability, distribution, communication, limited buyers, personal relation, long-term buyers. Once you sign up with a company, they're going to buy your product again and again and again and again till you make a mistake. There's no reason for us to change the supplier unless and until you only damage your own reputation by having bad supplies and all. And incidentally, this is a satellite. And we know that customers are really long-term buyers because my suppliers to whom I supply, they sign what is called end of life contract. What does that mean? Is that they will take the service till the end of the life of the satellite. So satellite is typically, if it is a geostationary satellite, it's for 15 years. So I can sign up with the customer for 15 years. So now you see personal relationship matters, price matters, product matters. And because once you miss that opportunity, that customer is not coming back to you for the next 15 years. So sometimes, unless and until something happens, you do a big damage or things like that. So most contracts are very long-term contracts in a B2B. The other thing is B2B innovation is less than consumer markets. What was the example I was telling you guys? If you remember the example of the mosquito repellent, you remember when we were discussing product, I gave you two products. What was that? A mosquito repellent and the Audi tank, the armored tank. And I said, what is the difference between the two? Both are products. But the consumer products keeps on changing all the time. All the time, new innovation happens. All the time. 3 cameras, 5 cameras, cameras on 3 sides. All the things are there, only 2 sides, right? Okay, so it happens all the time. But in B2B, innovation is very slow. It's because if you try to innovate, you bring in complexity. And the entire process of valuation or approval or creditation happens to be very complex. So I remember, first of all, I was telling you very few customers, and one customer I made my own life miserable by my own act. So my customer said, I'm going to, he was working with ISRO, and he said, I'm going to order your product. I said, yeah, no, I'm going to just mention in my order to my purchase department that buy this particular system, which has the following features. That's it. So I was very happy. But by the time it went through the entire process, it was about 6 months. Because you know what happens, decision is very slow in a B2B process. You don't decide overnight. Nobody's in a hurry. So by the time we replace that product with another product. So when I quoted an upgraded version. Now the purchase department is not as technically qualified as the user department. And they said, "Nahi, humne to pucha kuch aur, tum logon ne diya kuch aur." No, sir, it is just advanced features. No. I brought big trouble for myself. Had I given him the old machine, I would have just gone away. So sometimes innovation is very, very, very slow in the business market. Innovation doesn't happen very fast. Okay. And buyers are very demanding. Oh my God, try negotiating with Apple. I put up an WhatsApp on the group on how complex Apple's purchasing things are. And exactly now I remember exactly what I was thinking about is that the first meeting is in the conference room, and finally the meeting goes down to the floor room. Very, I'll tell you, try going and negotiating with Jio. You go in a full suit and you come back. That's what happens. That is how buyers are. Very, very, very tough and demanding. Okay. Now, so this is what I wanted to say is that the problem for all of us is the customer is a very educated customer. The customer knows what is your product. The customer knows what is your competition. The customer, you don't teach the customer anything. In a B2B, the B2B customer is many times more technically competent than you. And so then how do you sell to this customer? It's only possible by what I told about the saying that you must understand what the customer's problem is. You must get into inside selling. I'm not going to spend too much of time on it, but I want you guys to read about it. Okay. Now, all of that done, I will skip. All this is for you to read. I will come to a slightly different topic. My God, what is this doing here? Wrong slide in the wrong place. then I must find a use of this slide. Okay, assuming that you fall in love with somebody and then you want to marry her or marry him, how do you go about it? Any experienced souls here who can give me some idea how to do about it? I mean, I'm not that I'm looking out for it. I'm just giving you an idea. One way is if you're talking about a girl you like, you can probably go talk to his neighbor, go to a neighbor's house, from the neighbor's windows, try throwing some fool or whatever it is, gets into a relationship. Or maybe you can go to the Pandit, and the Pandit, who is the family Pandit, and tell him, ये तो कुंडली मिलता है, इसी से शादी होना है. Right? Obviously. Or you could go to the uncle. There are many ways to go. But why am I telling all this in a B2B market? Sometimes what happens, you might go to the uncle, but the uncle has somebody else in mind. So, तुम्हारा क्या होगा? Gone, right? You will not, you either stay bachelor or look elsewhere, right? Both of it is not a good option because you like the person. So similarly, what I'm saying, in any proposition, you could have people who could have a positive opinion about you, who could have a neutral opinion about you, but help you in going in the right direction, or they could be highly influential. Let's say you like this guy and you go to his sister and the sister says, hey, you know what? She's a sweet girl, marry him. He might just go ahead and do it because she is highly influential. That's, if you are convinced about this formula, then I want to tell you that the buying center in any organization is as complex as the process of you getting into a courtship. Because the buying center is made up of lots and lots of people. Who are these people? The 7 members of a buying process. They are initiators, they are users, they are influencers, they are deciders, approvers, buyers, and gatekeepers. What does it mean? Initiator, the person who raises the requirement. Sir, we have a problem in our IT delivery. Looks like we need to add another 20 computers because he is having problems with it. He initiates the process. He's the initiator. But what will he do with these 20 computers? He's going to give it to these 20 programmers, or these 20 coders, or whatever you want to call them, or these 20 call center people, or these 20 guys on the manufacturing plant. So they are the users. They are the users. The users don't like the product, they'll not buy it. One of the users will say, sir, actually that particular machine, I worked in it in my previous company. Horrible, sir. If you give me that machine, efficiency will go down. Don't blame me for it. Over. So the user is there. Then the influencer. Who is the influencer? The influencer is somebody who's probably used the machine, or who knows the company, or is somebody who has a positive feedback about you. Hey, actually the one that these guys sell are good products. These guys sell good products. I use their product in my previous organization. Well, look at it. Brilliant, man. The products that they make, they're very good. So he's influencing your purchase. Then the decider, who is the guy who is actually going to put his neck on the thing? If you make a bad decision, they'll chop your neck. They chop your neck. Most CTOs don't last more than 3-4 years because they either make a bad decision, they get their neck gets chopped, or they make brilliant decisions and go to another company in a higher level. So that is what happens. Then the approver. The approver is the one who is going to give you, it could be the head of the finance, or head of the one, or the buyer could be the one. And finally, gatekeepers. Who are gatekeepers? Who are gatekeepers? Gatekeepers are those who will not allow you inside. Oh, never buy a Wipro product. No, he's not a competitor. He is within the buying center. He is within the buying center. He is within that buying decision in the 7 of them. 7 or 8, I don't know how many are there. So he is going to tell you, no, don't buy the product. Don't buy the product. Oh, bad experience. You know what? They never deliver in time. That's it. The gatekeeper, all of them could be just one person. All of them could just be 4 people. The user can be an influencer. Oh, sir, you should buy that product, sir. It really works perfect across all varying voltages and all that. Efficient delivery. Or I say, no, that's it. If you give me this, it's going to, the damage will be heavy on the company. So there are 7 or 8. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of them. The 7 doesn't mean that there are 7 different people, but there are 7 people with 7 avatars. They could be the same one, which could have multiple avatars, right? So nothing like an user being an influencer. That's the best thing. Oh yeah, you get that machine, sir, it'll work wonder. But so these 7, and if you look at your assignment number 2, which you will not till 25th, will be, it's all about asking you in an imaginary story about 7 different people. I've named those 7 or 8 people, and I want you to tell me, is this person an influencer, a buyer, or a gatekeeper? You must analyze. And now, what do you want to do? Who is your friend and who is your enemy? An influencer is your friend. A gatekeeper, not necessarily your enemy, but the gatekeeper is the one who's trying to push you away. But if you can convert the gatekeeper to an influencer, you've done the deal. Okay, so these are the 7 buying cycles. And any questions on this? Because I want you guys to understand this well. I believe you have no questions, right? So these are the buying rules, each of them. The initiator, the one I've explained to, I don't want to go back to the same slide. And more of them. And more on what the buying cycle is all about. I think I'll just keep going. This is for you guys to read. I'll just spend some time on this, and then maybe it looks like we have plenty of time, 4:30, right? So I may even switch to another topic. So there are 3 kinds of buying situation in an organization. What are the 3 kinds of a buying situation? This also is part of your assignment. 3 questions. What is called a straight rebuy, modified rebuy, and a new task. Take the example of Maruti. Let's say, what is the most critical component of Maruti? I guess the braking system is the most important one. Otherwise, or the airbags, so the braking system, let's say. So there is one supplier of braking system to Maruti Suzuki. So when you want to place more orders, what do you just say? You just buy more. As simple as that. No complexity of buying. You just go back, and anybody, the person lowest in the chain, can say, send me another 10,000 braking systems, and you buy. Because that braking system sits perfectly into the Alto car. So you keep on buying them. That is a straight rebuy is when the product is certified, the product features are approved, the pricing is also defined. There's nothing else to do. Anybody, the company has approved it. Anybody can place an order for the thing. But a modified rebuy is there has been some change in your requirement. You were earlier having an the manual transmission in your car, and now you moved into an auto transmission. So there is a small change in your requirement, but still the same car. I'm taking car as an example, anybody else. In which case, there is a modified rebuy. It's the same product, but the requirements have slightly changed. Then you do not have the power to buy. You may have to go through another process of these 7 guys that we talked about and may have to come back. But what is a new task? A new task is a totally new requirement. We are talking about batteries for the new electric cars. That's a totally new requirement. Batteries for petrol engines is different from batteries for the electric car. So that's a new task. In a new task, you don't trust the existing vendor because that existing vendor may not qualify. You may want to have new vendors qualifying. So if you are not an existing supplier to Maruti and you want to, or Suzuki for that matter, and you want to enter into that, which opportunity is the best opportunity? Is it straight buy, modified buy, or new task? New task, right? Because that then gives you an opportunity to enter into it. A modified rebuy, you can re-enter if you are very close to the existing specifications and do it. So further, you must understand that these are very 3 terms and they keep coming up very often. So in your assignment, you have been asked 3 of these as well. Okay. Now, I guess this is done. We are done with this part of B2B. I'm going to move to another subject, and I hope I can quickly open up that slide. Pardon? Example for straight rebuy is very, very, that's the most simplest of the one, right? Yeah, same product, we just keep on ordering. Like, what is that? You're buying some engines from, let's say, like the example of Boeing buying engines from Pratt or Brittany and all that. You just order more. But Boeing is Boeing. I don't know. Boeing is 7 series or same 757 to 787. Some changes have taken place. So you have to do a modified rebuy. So rebuy is the straight rebuy is the easiest thing. You order, you continue to order. Okay. So now let's see if I can open up another topic, which is no. Download. It's opening up right here. Huh? Perfect. Here's the okay. Can you guys online see this?
No, sir, we can't.
No, sir.
No, sir.
What do you see?
The blank screen.
Blank page.
A blank page.
Okay. Thank God. Right. Return to meeting. New share. Now?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Yes, we can see.
What does the slide say?
Astrologers in business.
Astrologers in business.
Good subject, no?
Yes, sir.
Good. I used to Okay. Astrologers in business. The past is an indication of the future. Future is based on my understanding. Astrologers can go wrong. An act of God. Business die, products die, companies die, obviously. We used to have one. I was working in the telecom group. The telecom group or the entire telecom group had one astrologer. He would go to all competitors and tell them, predict their future. So he came to us one day and said, oh, anyway, that's a joke, right? So he came and said, hey, acha, he saw my hand and said, you will do very well, upar jaoge, and all that he kept saying. So a couple of years later, he came and I had moved from ground floor to third floor. And I bola, dekhe, hum to upar chale gaye. So he got very angry and stopped coming and meeting me. So, but anyway, the point is, all of us are astrologers in business, especially the management guys. What is our role? They didn't take us to run the business. You didn't do MBA to run the business. To run the business, you have to be a guy in the factory. To run the business, you have to be the guy on the field. To run the business, you have to be the guy, the sales guy there, the operator in the factory. You have done MBA for, you are supposed to, what is the full form of MBA? Business administration. Actually, it's Masters in Business Astrology. Because you should be able to predict tomorrow what is going to happen. If you don't know which way the business is running, earlier I used to have a chart. Earlier I used to have a thing. Let me begin by giving you that example. What is the difference between the chai fellow in your office and the CEO? Simple, and you guys are taking time to answer me. What is the difference between the guy who delivers chai?
CEO he's a decision maker.
The CEO wears suits. He's a decision maker. Actually, the most decisions have to happen by the chai fellow. No, the chai fellow leads a very complicated life. He has to predict how many liters of milk that I should buy. Never know. This lady would invite 10 people for the office and gone. Chai nahi hai? And she said, chai hai. But then she said, I'm not coming to office today. So 10, very complicated life he leads. You should be able to visualize how many people are going to order tea, how many people are going to do it, and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay, but the problem with him is that he only has to think one day. His life is, आज ऑफिस में सबको कॉफी चाय पिला दिया तो हो गया का, कोई टेंशन नहीं होने का. ये मैडम के भरोसा नहीं है. वो किसी को बुलाएंगे कॉफी पे and then gone. He has to rush, bring another half a liter of milk. So his worry is, how do I handle today's problem? If today's problem is handled, he's least bothered about tomorrow's problem, because tomorrow is a new beginning. But a team leader has a different problem. A team leader is worried about, how do I deliver this quarter? This quarter, my God, the worst months of the year are every quarter, right? Every November, December, October, November, December. October, November, December, the worst months, because it's Christmas, it's Diwali, and never can you predict how many guys are going to turn. And most financial years are also ending. If I can get over October, November, December, my life is easy. So he is not worried about today. He definitely not worried about today. He's only worried about next 3 months. But the CEO or the MD or the guy who's running about it cannot be worried about today, cannot be worried about the next quarter. He is not even worried about next financial year. He is worried about the next 5 years. What am I going to do? His job is, in 5 years, what is the market going to be like? In 5 years, do you think electric cars will seriously come and throw away my business? Do you think, what is that, Google Office or whatever that is could just throw out MS Office? Do you think WhatsApp will become outdated? You think about it. So there's no difference. Only thing is the time scale is different. You're only thinking about today. There's some people are thinking about it 5 years later. So astrologers in business is a very, very important thing. You have to anticipate. You have to visualize what could happen. Tomorrow, this whole industry could just shut down. There could be no requirement for software engineers, or you must think of a new way of doing business. And how do I get rid of dead wood? I have to get rid of it, right? You know, the Jack Welch theory. What is the Jack Welch theory? He said every month, bottom 10% I'll get rid of. I mean, every year, not every month would be trouble actually. Every year, the bottom 10% performers in the company will be thrown. Best way to get rid of dead wood. So is that the way? How do I drive my company? So what is the trend? I just put this up a couple of months back. What is the trend? What is it going to be? Diesel, petrol, electric vehicles? Do you think theaters will exist? Or theaters will shut down? Or you don't know. Who knows? Theaters may come back in a bang with something else. Holidays. Where do you think the demand is? Today, we don't want to go to a crowded places. Earlier, we wanted to go to crowded. The best place to hang out is in New York, in Dubai, in the middle of Singapore, Orchard Street. The last thing I want to go to is Orchard Street because it's crowded. I was thinking about this. Is it 2 BHK, 3 BHK? What is it? Or I coined this word last term, I changed it, is OBHK. O standing for office. Maybe you want to have a small home office. That could be the new way of people selling. Phone numbers. I don't think nobody cares about phone numbers. I can reach any one of you without knowing your phone number, right? I can reach you on email. I can reach you on WhatsApp. There are many, many ways. So you know which way the business is going. So how do I stay ahead of market? How do I stay ahead of competition? Technology could kill me. Overnight, technology can come and do it. All along, then incumbency. What is incumbency? Familiarity breeds. Huh? Somebody said something. Okay, you get bored of the same thing again and again and again. How long can you be watching the same thing, right? So incumbency, people will get tired of the same product. At some point, you want a change of WhatsApp, right? So boring. How long can you be looking at WhatsApp? And then you come back to WhatsApp. So that's anyway. So incumbency. So how do people react to me? Look at these companies. How many of you know these companies? Which company you don't know? Can you name them? So most of you know them, right? Most of them are known to you. Do you know this company? What happened to them? They're just surviving. They could have been the most best electronic company in the world. Because at the time when I was doing engineering, the only electronic product that I ever kept my hands on for the first time in my life was a Casio watch and a Casio calculator. Oh my God, FX 180 or FX 80 or whatever that was, FX 76. I don't know what is the number. We loved it. The Casio played an important role in our lives, but now it's not there. How many of you know this thing?
MySpace.
MySpace. And what is MySpace? MySpace is nothing but Facebook. They were ahead of Facebook and they just lost out. They just lost out all the time. Nokia, all the thing. And what is this? The one that you know, you wrote down in your book. What is that? Arthur Andersen. So look at what is happening. Look at these companies. IBM, 100 years old and still strong. Wipro, always innovating. Netflix, they were in the business of selling, giving you CDs on rent, and right now a leader in OTT content. always surviving. Look at these guys, leaders and dead. Correct? Leaders and dead. BlackBerry. I mean, wow. I was among my company. I was one of the guys who had a BlackBerry. I used to feel on cloud 9. Oh, if you had a BlackBerry phone, it meant that you were a true business professional. That is what it is. And now BlackBerry said, no way iPhone can kill me. I don't know what happened. Nokia, they were not listening to the customers. They were not. What are Kodak films? Dead, gone. They didn't smell the coffee. They didn't see the writing on the wall. You will die. People are buying cameras with phones. I mean, phones with cameras. What are you doing, Mr. Kodak? He was not doing. And all of these, this is also Satyam. And all of them, they had internal problems. Your professor in the earlier class told you what happened to Satyam, right? They did it damage. So these companies refuse to see the future. These companies refuse to see the future. So now that said, okay, we'll go back to it later. That said, how to grow? How should companies grow? Because the only thing for them to survive is growth, 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 growth. How does a company grow? A company can grow in 4 ways. I'm trying to pick up. Yeah, okay. A company can grow in 4 different ways. In what are those 4 ways it can grow? It can do markets and products. It can take the same market and same product and go into new market. Right? Same product, you take the same product and go into new markets. Just like Kellogg's was primarily an American brand, and Kellogg's took the same product and brought it into a global market. That is, same product going into a different market. Now you go into new markets with new products. You are existing in that product, you bring in more variety into your product, and you bring more products into it. Or you stay in the current market and with the same products, but you rework your strategy. And of course, the thing is you totally diversify into new markets. So these are the 4 opportunities that you have, or an opportunity matrix, and it's called the Ansoff matrix. 4 ways in which you can grow. But what we are discussing today, and I want you to also answer in your assignment too, is what is called the Boston Consulting Group, or the BCG matrix. Okay, I'll run through it. I might probably also run through it in the beginning because I want you to pay attention, and you're almost at the fag end of your attention span. I can see that. But Boston Consultancy said that you must then, where is it? Oh my God. Market share. Let's understand the word market share. Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of the word market share? Who?
Sir, it's the market, the overall
An
market.
Example of that. Pardon? Yeah, go ahead. You and both online and Geo. So what is the market share? Something, you tell me anything. I'm not going to
The
question
overall
you on that.
customer, how much a company can capture.
How much a company can capture of a particular market. And
market.
you are saying that Jio has got a 36% market share. That means to say out of every 100 customers, 36 of them are Jio customers. Is that what you're saying? Brilliant. So that is what is market share. You could have a market share of 14%, 80%, whatever it is. You need to understand the word market share. Does that mean that it is the number of television viewers? No. You're only talking about number of mobile users and what market that you're. It's not talking about an expansive market in a particular market. Then you get what is called relative market share. What is relative market share? That means Jio's Ambani's brother, Mukesh Ambani, is that something got to do with it? Anil Ambani and Mukesh Ambani, relative? No. I'm just wondering if relative. What is relative market share? You did so well in the first question. Do it on the second one.
The nearest competitor, how much he is gaining.
Correct. In the sense, what is relative? If 36% is the market share of Jio in the entire mobile industry, it's got 62% relative market share compared to Airtel. So I'm assuming that I'm not talking about the complete market. 100% of that market, 36% belongs to me, or out of 100 products, 36 belongs to me. I am saying that I have got 200% relative market share of Airtel. That means that Airtel has got only 18 customers. Compared to Airtel, I've got 36. The relative market share is how much? 200. Though I may have only 36% of the market, compared to my competition, I'm brilliant. I'm doing very, very well. So one is market share. Second is relative market share. How am I doing compared to the rivals sales this year? Okay, you get the things. Then market growth. What is market growth? The last year has been a very, very bad year for the auto sector. Nobody was buying cars because we're not even traveling it, right? So the market grew at only 3%. So what is market growth? How much did the auto industry market grow? 2%. It only grew by 2%. But how many vehicles did Ford sell and how many vehicles did Kia sell? So market growth relative, even though the market grew by only 2%, Kia sold 6 times more than Ford, assumingly as a number. So now there's something wrong with whom? Ford. Market is 2% bad. I know, bad economy, but in that market, somebody is doing very well. That is relative market share. Do you understand the difference? Okay. Now Ford cannot go back and complain to Biden saying that "Nahi, Indians ne hame dhoka diya, unhone car hi nahi kharida." Biden is saying no, unhone Kia liya. Okay. So that is relative market share. You did a bad job. Now market grew at 2%, but you not even grew. You grow by 0.5. There's something wrong. Market grew by 2%. Kia's business grew by 15%. Who's doing a brilliant job? Kia is eating into the competitor like mad. That is what is the indication. Are you guys following me on this point? Okay. If you followed me on this, I'm going to give you stars, question marks, cash cows, and dogs to talk with. What happened? All of a sudden, who are stars? Name a star other than Shah Rukh Khan. Huh? Hey, go ahead. What is that? Okay, APJ Abdul Kalam. Okay, so what are stars? What is the characteristic of a star? Top performer. What else?
Influential.
Outstanding. Then what? If I put who's the star? I think I don't like Shah Rukh Khan. Who's the other guy? I like Amir Khan, of course. Amir Khan is a star. If I put Amir Khan in a movie, in my movie as a producer, what is likely to happen? I make some good money? Guaranteed? Right? Obviously, right? So I'm now giving you a lighter version of it today for the next 10 minutes so that you understand it and I give you a more solid version. So stars are no doubt, right? But they are expensive, right? Putting Amir Khan in a movie is Pretty expensive. How much? I don't know how much he charges. 100 crores or something. What are question marks? Not sure. This is like putting Amitabh Bachchan in the Sholay movie when he was a non-star, right? I put it, or you put Amjad Khan. First movie of Amjad Khan was Sholay, and like I don't know about you guys, but I can entire 3 hours, 15 minutes, every dialogue I can repeat. That's not a professor's category. So the point is, what's a question mark? You don't know what's going to happen. It's a gamble. It possibly will work, may not work, right? It's really a problematic thing. Maybe the movie will become a hit by putting up this guy, or we chose the wrong hero. It's going to be a disaster. What is a cash cow? What is a cash cow? What is a cow? So what do you give him? Usko kya khilate ho? Huh? Yeah, so what do you give him to eat? Grass. And what does he give you in return? Milk. So nicely, nothing much to take care. Let him go all over the place. Come back in the evening, milk him. Nice 15 liters, 30 liters per day. Go and sell it to Nandini, make a lot of money and sit at home. Cool, right? That's what is a cash cow. The other one is a dog. What's a dog? It's an unnecessary accompaniment to my journey. Oh, it's always running behind me. At one time, it was so nice when it was a puppy. It was so cute, and it grew up. It really would threaten the guys trying to enter into my house. It would run behind. In my farm, it used to run behind all those crows and all that. Now the thing is almost 10, 11, 12 years old. Can't even get rid of him. Can't even keep him. Right? Isn't that true? Somebody is thinking of your mother-in-law? No, don't. Okay. Okay. So stars, question marks, cash cows and dogs, if you can generalize them, they exist in companies. They exist in companies. Stars are those who have relative market share as very, very, very high. High market share. And how is the market growing? The market is growing super fast. The market is growing very, very well. Example is Netflix. Oh, I'm assuming, or maybe it's Disney Hotstar. I don't know. New converts are adding OTT to their watching, right? More and more people are watching OTT. And most of them are watching Netflix, in my opinion. Maybe it's something else. So Netflix on relative market share is doing very well. That is Kia versus Ford. It's the Kia. And market growth, market is growing very well. It's the best market for anybody to be. That is it. Question mark. Question mark. I don't know really what to do. We are Z5, or I don't know which is the other one. Which is the other OTT platform we can think of? Boot, something like that. Huh? Amazon Prime, not that's very close to Star. It's very close to Star. Somebody else. Yeah.
Remix.
Yeah. So, no. Eros now. Eros now. You know Eros now? Eros now because Eros also has movie theaters. Eros has movie theaters or something like that. And they have also invested in an OTT platform. Do you think we should continue to run this? Or when the theaters open, should we refocus on our theaters? They don't know whether to keep it there or not keep it there. Cash cow, Gmail, Google search, nothing to do. By default, left, right, and center, making good money out of it. Nothing much to do it. Unless and until you do a stupid mistake, that'll be out there. The dogs Are those services that you ran, you're not very sure how to do that. Run a service, I always give that example of PeopleSoft. At one time, you may have PeopleSoft as a good platform for your customers, but now you have existing customers, so you have to serve them. So you continue to run the service, you don't really know if it's going to work or not. So every
BSNL also.
organization, pardon?
BSNL also.
Yeah, maybe BSNL, correct. BSNL landlines, you really don't know. You have delivered services. You have to keep the service going. You have guarantee of service. Like, for example, if any car is stops production, you will have to support that car for 7 years. That's a dog. And why did I sell in the first place? I have to support it. So I'll stop at this and then take it forward. So you have 4 of them. And every company has this. Every company has this. And my question to you in assignment 2 is, pick a company, and that company could be any company. Look at it in 2021. Put its products in these 4 categories. Take anyone, maybe Reliance. Put them in these 4 categories. And tell me, 10 years later, what will happen to this matrix? Where those products would be in these 4 categories. For example, Reliance cash cow is what? Huh? Oil.
Petroleum.
Oil is the cash cow. That is how they're surviving. But 10 years later, maybe oil, they could run out of oil, or oil could get a competing electric thing. Oil could have a problem in terms of emission and all that. Maybe it could become a dog. Or Reliance may find an oil refinery or an oil well, and they may become the largest oil source, and it may become a star. So all of them have some product. Reliance Retail, or you don't know what to do with Reliance Retail. Should I keep it on? Reliance Jewelry, Reliance Retail. Should I keep it? Should I not keep it? Question mark. They are not closing it, as you can see, because they are not very sure. Because maybe I'll have some use of it in the later date. So I want you to start predicting, just like the slide number 1, in which I told you that you have to be an astrologer. I want you to be an astrologer 10 years from now and predict. So enough of today. I'll come back on your next class and continue the subject. Okay. As always, let's talk for 5 minutes. I'm not leaving you right now. Talk to me for 5 minutes on anything. You can talk about cricket, sports, Hollywood movies, but let me hear your sweet voices and then do. Some of you online. Any questions? No?
Professor, just small clarification regarding the assignment 1. So once the PPT slide is ready, so we as a group should record our recording, right? That is our presentation for 10 minutes.
Absolutely. 10, 12, no more than 15, I guess. Yeah. And
yeah, so once the recording is done, how shall we submit it to you?
You store it in a Google Drive and send me a link.
Okay, so only one person from the group should send you the link, right?
Preferably.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise all of you send a link, then pain for me. I will have to open each of them. And most importantly, state your name. Even better, if you can have your name printed when you are speaking. I know, because in her case, she'll get 20 out of 20 for the group. But how do I evaluate her 10 marks? Did she speak well? But if I don't know her name, because I have to find out. No? So you better begin by saying, this is Ramesh from group 4 speaking. And end by saying, this is Ramesh from group 4. Thank you very much. I hand it over to Suresh or something like that. So now the name registers. She spoke very well. So then I would say, I'm not sure what's her name. Then I have to keep on going, searching for your name. And you will see it in the WhatsApp group. I'll have questions. I already asked one question to Preeti. please list me the group. As I start evaluating, I'll say, who is the third person who spoke after the fourth person? So all the things. So help me by stating your name loudly and clearly. Okay? Good. Any other question? When do we go home? Anything? That's all? Okay, good guys. Take care. When is our next class? After Christmas, right? Next year? Good,
Yes, sir.
good, good. Happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you.